I'm nervous on the surface, I look fine. My brain feels heavy, my traumatized mind. And I'm so tired, I can't feel my eyes. Whoa, whoa. I'm petty, but I know how to lie. I feel feelings that I can't describe. I'm not breathing, but I'm still alive. Whoa, whoa. But I think I'll be alright, 'cause I'm not giving up, I'm not giving up yet. I feel that it's my time, so I'ma give it everything. I'ma give it everything I got. So I'ma give it everything. I'ma give it everything I got. I'ma give it everything. I'ma give it everything.
Hello my spooky friends, it is Stacy and welcome to Special Effects Makeup on a Budget. Today I have a graphic pop art tutorial for you. If you're looking for something a little bit more colorful that's along the lines of the comic pop art style, please click this link and it'll take you to that tutorial. And in today's video, I'm tackling that dreaded opacity of the white and the streaky white and black paints. This is the best technique that I have found to get that full opacity when you're dealing with black and whites. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Here is my reference image. I will be changing the lips and not using gray. With my NYX Jumbo Pencil in Ghost, I go in and map out the shapes that are white. I'm using white because it'll be a lot easier to tightline in black later. This is not so much about directional lighting as it is about the contrasting colors between black and white and using graphic type of shapes onto the skin. So this one's a little bit more forgiving. You have a lot of so-called gray areas that you can get away with, so it doesn't keep you to that standard directional lighting and how shadow and shade form on the face. It's just more about contrast. I think this is a good tutorial if you are beginning using these mediums. Water and grease paints tend to crack if you use too much product and it's hard to get the opacity, but there is a way to do that to make it work for you and to be able to practice and hone some skills and not break the bank, and you can use less expensive products to achieve the same look. I continue to map out some random shapes onto the chest and going in and making sure that I have it mapped out onto the eyelids. I paint those last because I have a hooded eye and it creases naturally on its own, so keep that in mind when you're doing this look. And this is the actual water paint that comes from Walmart. They have them every year. And when it comes to white paint, I like to go in with a smaller brush for detail and using a very thin layer and letting that dry first. I found what helps make this a lot easier is if you are mindful to keep your brush saturated. If you do have to go over another area that you've already painted, it's going to help. What you do not want is your brushes to drag against what you have put already. Think of everything when it comes to black and white and any other paint just as a thin base that you can build on. And so when you're using sponges and brushes, they have a tendency to lift the product up. So pick some brushes and make sure that you keep the bristles saturated with the color that you're using. Now I ran out of water paint, but what I did here is I went through with some cream paint and just tapped that in onto the base I already had for the white. Keep in mind that your brushes are saturated with the paint that you're using. And if you're also having difficult with the opacity, after you've put a layer or two, you can take some white eyeshadow and set it, and that will also help some of the opacity. With some black water paint, I go in and paint everything else that's not white, and I make sure to tight line around the white. Try not to go over into the white, because once you do that, you'll create a gray tone and then you'll be tight lighting even longer. So just use the right tool. If it's a small space, use a smaller brush. It's okay to switch for what you need. And you can see here that that black is very streaky, just as much as the white. So again, another thin layer and getting the other shapes carved out onto the skin. I'm changing up the lips from my reference photo. I go in with the black and get rid of the Cupid's bow. I'm going to draw that in later with white. I did carry all the look down to the top part of the cleavage, and I'm sorry guys, sometimes it's just so hard for me to remember to lean back all the way, and most days I'm just doing good if the camera's running and filming everything that I'm doing. So yeah, I drew in some boobies. So I'm making sure that I use this black to wrap around these shoulders into the back of the neck, because I do not want any skin showing. That's going to give the illusion it's something a little bit smaller and more graphic. It's really going to make the white pop, and you won't be in fear of that showing up if you're filming or posing for photos. Going in with some more white, I make sure to define the eye area a little bit more. It's just going to look really good when you close your eye, so I make sure that when I do the white on the eyes that it dries before I continue to blink and constantly move my eyelids. So I try to keep them as closed as much as possible until that dries. I paint in the bottom lip with a couple of dots to one side, and I go in and carve out the Cupid's bow in the top of the lip. I was not too happy with the forehead being just stark white, so I drew in some more shapes, going back in with my black with a thin layer and another layer to make it opaque. I was still unsure at this point if I was going to wear my hair up, paint it, or use a wig, so just a good practice to have is to always paint your ears, and I added some highlight and some white. Here's the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this one today and found it very useful. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I always enjoy it when you stop by to check things out. And of course, I had to change the lighting for that wonderful classic Andy Warhol stylized look. If you'd like to see sneak peeks or behind the scenes footage or vote on my next look, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Those links are below. And if you're wanting more fun makeup that will not break the bank for your next cosplay or Halloween look, please hit that subscribe button and stick around for the next video. And I'll see you guys next time.